But also, oh shit. Go into. So where we get all this material is inside of Connect. When you are in, I'm not letting anybody in right this second. When you go into your agent portal, agent.kw.com, it's going to be in Connect, and then you type in Ignite. And when you type in Ignite, I mean, there's tons and tons of classes, not just Ignite. And I'm a KWU approved trainer, but you don't have to be one to teach Ignite specifically. If you click on that, then it gives you, and this is how most of the classes are, full course content, some videos to go along, and then the student manual, the instructor manuals, and the PowerPoints to go along with it. So it's really a great resource for us as leaders. And what we'll do is I'll go over, there's like this 12-step coaching thing I would go through with a team leader when I was hired to coach them. I'll make sure we hit all of those, okay? One of them is setting up your calendar for success. Okay, let's let these crazy people in. And Xenia, I see you. I see you. Hi, William. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
Are you in New York or are you on the island?
I am New York. I'm on the wrong island, Long Island. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I was just telling Suzanne that it's like 70 degrees here, but no, still not nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Like miserable.
Yep.
But let's get Curacao. Zita is coming in. Oh, is that a new sign behind your head, BB, in the office for the love of real estate? Is that new?
No, it's not new.
Oh.
It's here for 2 years, 3.
Well then. It's still new. I mean, I just bought my house 2 years ago. I consider that new, but no, I like that.
It is already 2 years ago.
Yes, it is.
Did you see they just announced the NAR settlement or something?
Which one?
A new one for like $400 or $500 million. That it's going to basically sever and take out all the little NAR like the listing MLSs and everything.
Okay. I did not yet. I did not yet.
I don't think it'll impact the ABC though.
I don't think it's going to impact the ABC, but this is the craziness that we have to deal with, guys, on the non-islands or the islands, the Cuckoo Islands over here. We also just had another lawsuit, right? That was 70 million that they settled for, which was about the double compensation. We have a really great class that's going on. It's called, and you might have seen it through KW, called Value Squared.
I did it already.
Right? Okay, so you took it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Every agent should take it, leaders should take it, and it's really designed to help you really understand how to translate your value so that you can protect your commission and that you can survive in this industry as they try to keep squeezing us. Right, Francisco? No squeezing on this end. No squeeze us. We want all our money.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Bonaire. Good morning. All right, it's 10:03. We're gonna get started. Yep, I think you get it. Bonaire, it's all you. Let's go ahead and do a share. We are going to be going through Ignite session 16, working with buyers and sellers. Okay, before it was winning the buyers and sellers, now it's working with the buyers and sellers. And before we get into this, I wanted to just read to you a little thing from my favorite little book called U Squared. And it's just about taking risks and thinking beyond the zone of familiarity. Okay. And so this one here, it says, quit trying harder. Quit trying harder. It's just a one-pager. It says, stop and think about it. Here's the way it goes. More of the same usually gives you more of the same. Of course, if that's mainly what you're after, then fine. Try a little harder, get a little bigger payoff. try a lot harder, you can expect a lot better results, right? Well, possibly, but it's definitely not a sure thing. Sooner or later, you're going to reach a point where you can't try any harder. It may be that your spirit flag or that your physical or mental resources are stretched beyond the limits. Often, well before you come to that set of circumstances, you reach the point of diminishing return. Trying harder and harder starts producing less and less. And sometimes, in fact, intensifying your efforts produces nothing except bigger problems. As a case in point, go back to the story of the fly. And if you remember, it was a while ago, the fly keeps hitting into the window, keeps hitting into the window. Meanwhile, 10 feet away, there is an open door that the fly can just fly, choose a different path and fly out and be in the world. Instead, it will hit the window and ultimately die on that windowsill. So it says here, in case in point, go back to the story of the fly. That little insect could have turned away from the window 180 degrees and followed the path of least resistance as it flew into the open door. A quantum leap to freedom. 10 seconds of effortless flight would have produced total success, while hours of frustration and panic spent beating its wings against the glass were destined to end fruitlessly in the death on that dusty windowsill. Now, this is not an argument against self-discipline or persistence. Those are true virtues. Over a lifetime, they can make a powerful contribution to success and achievement. They are fundamental to the development of your talents. It's extremely important to apply yourself diligently, and sometimes the staying power is what delivers the big win. But ordinarily, you will find that trying harder produces only incremental gains, not quantum leaps. Also, keep in mind that trying harder, even a lot harder, sometimes offers little more than a straight path to burn out. Attempting to succeed through more of the same, being resolute and relying on committed effort, blinds you to better pathways. If you want to make a quantum leap, quit thinking about trying harder. More effort isn't always the answer. And we are experiencing this tremendously in our market here as our inventory is so low. It has been low. And so with our agents, we're having some really great wins with people just thinking differently. If you really assess, like, where did I really get the business from? Where did I really have the most fun getting business? You know, sometimes this career, this job, this opportunity leads us to just a wheel. We call it the hamster wheel. You're just on it the whole time. You got to get off the wheel sometimes. You have to kind of look at the wheel and say, is this wheel really getting me where I want to go? And I led an amazing panel, and I think I said this last time we were together, but it sticks with me. Tony Giordano, one of my panelists, said, is this productive? If you're in the middle of something that you're feeling like, question, is this productive? Do I need to do this anymore? It may be a newsletter that you create that takes you hours a week to create. It may be the way you go about taking listings or getting in front of sellers that just isn't working anymore. Is this productive? Is this getting me to where I want to be? So I encourage you, this is a little book. It's called U Squared. It's Price Pritchett. It's a great leader book. And I just like to revisit it. There's one more I'll revisit before we end our sessions together. And I always like to leave you with something. So we're going to roll into our win with or working with buyers and sellers. But does anybody have anything that they're really like, it's a burning question in the real estate market? It's you're stuck in the business and you want to ask everybody on the call for some help. And if not right now, if it comes across in the next hour, please, let me know. Hey, I want to just survey out, because this is also, I was speaking with Suzanne, who is our new team leader of Aruba. Welcome, Suzanne. We love you. Listen, being a team leader is not an easy thing. It's a bold move. And it's a very rewarding road ahead of you. I know that. You have great people you're working with.
I have a question, Marga. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Okay, I have a question. I have this issue that a potential buyer saw a house, and I didn't know it at the time, but it seems that she saw several houses, and like specifically 3 of them. And one of the houses, it's just an open listing. It's not exclusive. But then one realtor put a different price, a lower price. And she's an American, and she has experience in real estate as well. And she saw that on this other realtor, this same property was listed for a reduced price since November last year. And so that is an issue because it's putting me in a position that she's like, but what is it then? And I feel like I don't know how to handle this because
Okay, well, let
it's
me
like
ask you,
I want her
Jacqueline.
to trust me and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so what was the price that you had and what was the price the other realtor had? Like around?
It's 1.4 is the original price, and the other realtor listed it in November for 1.2.
Okay, so when you have a listing that nobody's really representing the seller, right? Because it's an open listing, the seller hasn't committed to have anybody fiduciarily represent them. This
Yeah.
is the problem. And so this would be with the seller has to understand you can tell this nightmare story to other people who tell you that they want an open listing, right? When you do that, you may have realtors that are representing you in different price points all over the place just because they want to bring in an offer. They want to dangle the carrot to attract a buyer. Because at the end of the day, and this is what I would say to the buyer, at the end of the day, what is market value? Market value is what a seller is willing to sell for and a buyer is willing to pay. That's it. So, okay, if the lady wanted to advertise the house for $1, do you think that the seller would take $1 as the sale price? No. So that agent is dangling that out there to attract other buyers, to try to make the deal with the seller. And the seller, did you speak to the seller and the seller is firm at 1.4 for you to market?
I didn't speak to the seller, but to a representative of the seller, and he seems to be firm on the original price. He said he never gave them authorization to lower the price. We're gonna do a video viewing on the 20th, and then I guess the potential buyer is gonna decide which property she will go for. But I feel like this hindered it a little bit, and
Sure. And I would say that this is very unprofessional, right? This is what happens, and not on your end, because you're taking what you were given to market out and to tell the buyer, but this is the seller that is working with multiple people, and we don't even know if they even told that other agent to go to 1.2. But what you absolutely really can say is at the end of the day, even if you put 1.2, that seller may not accept it. But I'm here to represent you, Mr. Buyer. So if you'd like to put 1.2, go right ahead and I will negotiate. What could it hurt? 1.2 of 1.4 is $200,000 off, is like maybe 18% off of the asking price. So you know what, Mr. Seller, we're handing you 92% of or 82% of what you're asking for. Right now, let's do the tango and let's get to an agreeable price, because 1.4 wasn't happening either. How do we know 1.4 is not happening? Because it would have been gone already.
exactly.
So
and not
we
even at
know
1.2 from this realtor, nothing happened.
there you go. So I would say to my buyer, you want to put an offer that you're comfortable with. You've seen the value. For you, Jacqueline, I would be making sure I'm showing some closed properties to validate what the prices are so that she can make an educated decision. You could back up your offer with those closed comps, and you could just, and then the negotiating is fun. I mean, at this point, if the seller really wants to sell the house and it comes down to motivation, where will they negotiate their price to? Between 1.1 and 1.4? Is it going to end at 1.3? Is it going to be 1.2? We don't know. Maybe they're completely unrealistic and they're really not looking to do it this year. It's a make me move price.
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't the property for her. But often will we have, and this is on New Jersey, we'll have people that they are a for sale by owner, then they list with an agent. So the listing on the MLS on the multiple listing is 800,000, but then the seller on the side is trying to sell it for 750 for sale by owner. Right? So at the end of the day, we're protected because you say to the seller, you're shortchanging yourself because the market is seeing 8. We're in a contract, so you're going to pay me regardless. When you're in that exclusive listing agreement, they're going to pay you regardless. The buyer comes in however you're getting paid. In this situation that Jacqueline's talking about, that's not the case. And I would just say you stay in your buyer's corner as much as you can, because that's who you represent, and you just let them know that this is the kind of stuff that happens in this market on the island with people that are not choosing solid representation with exclusive agency. And this would be the benefit of why we choose exclusive agency. Does that seller even know that their property is being advertised out there for 1.2? Maybe not. Or maybe it was a little side conversation and the agent took it and ran with it. Maybe they're from New York, where William's from, because they're crazy over there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I had a quick question though. Could she call the other agent and just say, you have it for 1.2, but my understanding is it's only 1.4. And then at least if she talks direct, like maybe it's a typo, maybe there's an error, maybe it's not in US dollars. And, and then at least she can go back to her client and say, I spoke to the other agent. It sounds like, he didn't have the authorization to do that, or.
That's right. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, William.
well, apparently, because we did address the issue with the owner, and the other realtor adjusted the price again, but the potential buyer already saw that. And so that is the issue now,
But good. I'm glad you took the advice that William just gave. And that would be the first step, is to call it. Like, hey, are you sure this is 1.2? It's not a typo. Don't assume anything. Maybe it was a typo. We're all crazy. We put a listing in like 1.2 was the other one. But if this situation, your buyer should be able to understand that this is not your doing. The seller is saying they did not want it to go down to 1.2. And I would just really look at that buyer and say, what are you willing to pay for it? Forget about all of this. After you saw it, you see the value, you know what the closed properties are. What do you want to put on paper? And I'll negotiate off of that. And hey, maybe this is not the property.
Yeah.
I have a seller right now. She took the property off the market. I have an agent calling me. Well, why? Well, why does she want to do that? I mean, honestly, because she's manic and she really cannot deal with this right now. But I'm like, because she's not selling. Like, what? But I appreciate that he's calling, because to William's point, he wants the information to give back to his buyers, because his buyers are wondering how come they can't get into the house. So communication is everything. All right, thank you. All right, let's jump into our session. We are recording, and this is Work with Buyers and Sellers, session 16. So we have 3 more sessions. We've combined 17 and 18, and we have 2 more sessions. We've combined 17 and 18 and 19 and 20. They're fun. They'll be the next couple of weeks. But we have already gone through, as you've seen, we've gone through all the pillars. You're the expert, what you do at your job, how to know what you do, defining your value. Speaking to Suze's point, is that value squared class that comes around. I think it's virtual as well. You should be taking it. It will help you. Lead generation. And to that point, I do want to make a comment. Many of you are probably asking or wondering, or maybe some of you don't even realize, and it's okay. We have had our president, which is Mark King, step down, move positions. I don't know what you want to call it, whatever. We have our old CEO, Mark Willis, who came back. Now, to owners like Ricardo, Edwin, Marianne, that's awesome. Mark Willis was fantastic for us. Mark Willis has the respect of the owners. He has the respect of Gary. He has the respect of Gary's son, John, who really seems like he's taking over. But Mark Willis always took the vision, and he made sure everybody was on board. And OPs, team leaders, that is our job, is to OPs to create that vision and cast it, team leaders to grab it and execute it. And so on a company level, I believe that we will, like his thing is we believe, I believe that the next 5 years, we are going to have great just profit and growth, agent count and profitability, with the leadership of Mark Willis. Mark King, I believe, took us to he carried us through the last couple of very tough years. And he is going right where I think he should be, which is working with team leaders and executive leadership teams to ensure that what we have coming down the pipe is executed at our local levels. So if anybody's like, oh, do you see that change? It's a good change. I've been here 20 years. We've seen a lot of change. This is the best change I've seen in the last decade. So I believe that we are just going to get stronger and stronger. So Mark Willis is our CEO, and I believe he's taken on president as well. We went through the lead generation pillar, how to find leads, where they come from. We went through the follow-up, which is keeping every lead, your database management, strengthening your relationships, because we know everybody's not going to move this year. They're going to move every 7 to 10 years. Now, with some of us, we buy an investment property every year or 2 a year. So those clients are different, but generally speaking, your database will maybe move every 10 years in their primary resident. And then your transaction is win the buyer, win the seller, and now we are here working with the buyers and sellers. So we talk about the buyers, the sellers, and then at last we talk about the co-agents, because there is success in gaining respect. Reputation is everything. And so working with co-agents, there is a real, some agents don't do it well and they don't have a good time. And in a market like now, we need to. So it says virtually every top producing agent we have ever worked with has a deep and almost inherent sense of service. They have a servant's heart, place their buyer or seller real estate experience above all else. And they are always thinking of service. We talk about experience, like what kind of experience are our clients having with us? How can we make it a better experience? Put yourself in their shoes, slow down a little bit and look at what you have for your buyers, for your sellers. Great agents, client communication, provide strong foundation for sustaining relationships. And that has to do with inspectors and notaries and appraisers, like not catching an attitude when your thing isn't going smoothly, like being kind and saying thank you and I appreciate you. All of that matters. So 2, sets and manages expectations proactively throughout the transaction. This is not just I'm going to tell you in the beginning what you need to do and then just expect that you're following through with all of that. It's going to be a continuous relationship. Creates peace of mind for your clients. Absolutely. Even a high D client like myself needs to have that peace of mind of what's next, and enhances your credibility. So the 3 levels of service: purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of you working with? What is your value proposition in this transaction? And your fiduciary relationship is kind of what Jacqueline just spoke about, is representing your client to the fullest and going above and beyond and figuring out the whys and then helping them get the deal if that's what they still want. Because we know with functionary, we do the job. We write the deal, we send it in, we put the sign out, we take them out to see houses, but we don't go above and beyond like Jacqueline did and called the other agent and find out some information or pull the comps and show our buyers. That's the fiduciary stuff. And when we have agency, dual agent would be that anybody that's from your firm that is selling a listing in your firm would be a dual agent. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have that kind of agency on the islands. Anybody want to speak to that? Do you have dual agency? Do they speak about what dual agency is if a buyer and seller are both represented by the same firm? Okay, so it may not apply on the islands right now, but as that progresses as well, what it does is it just puts us in a bind, because if I'm working on Aruba and BB has a listing and I'm selling it, but I'm representing my buyer to the fullest, we're technically dual agents because we're working under the same broker. We're working under the same brokerage. So here in the States, we have sales associate and then we have broker salesperson. And so I don't believe that you have this, but be careful, because your clients will look at you like, well, don't you know, this is your company's listing. You should know this and you should know that. Right? Or the seller may say to you, well, these buyers are coming from you. I don't want you telling them everything that I told you. Like, don't tell them that we're getting a divorce. Don't tell them that this is distress, because I don't want them to, jump on a weak moment. So that's where dual agency comes in, and fiduciary to your client matters. And the number one thing is setting expectations. When we take a look at the process, you should have the process, and I know you do. I've seen it in some, I know Aruba has it, and if the other islands don't, but you should all have your own anyway. What is the transaction process? And this one starts from before even finding an agent. Partner with an agent. Great, you're here with me today. Then you're going to get pre-approved. Let's get on the phone right now with Aruba Bank, our in-house banking, or our mortgage company that's in-house. Then we're going to set your clear search criteria. We're going to find your new home. We're going to make an offer. We're going to negotiate the terms, put you under contract. We're going to get you all our A-team vendors. Then we're going to negotiate inspections with you. There's an appraisal that's going to happen on the property to make sure that the value's there. And then the pre-close preparation, we're going to make sure you have all of your utilities ready to transfer over. And we're going to go to closing with you. And then post-close, we're still here. That alone is a lot more than what some agents do. It's just you meet up and you go and look at houses, and before you know it, they're ready to put an offer and they have no idea what the next step is. So this all could be done in your buyer consultation, your seller consultation. But either way, whether you're representing buyer or seller, they're both going to want to know what the process is, right? So if you're the seller, you're going to want to know what's the buyer supposed to do next. And this is what I'd be showing them as the transaction process. Setting time expectations, like when does this all happen? And setting document expectations. What is the offer? What does that look like? That should all be in your consultation. Giving them a blank contract, showing them what the blank contract looks like, setting the time expectations of you're going to need to put your deposit money within 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever it said on the contract, right? So then after that, when do I get my inspection? Then after that, and with Aruba, I know that you have to go through the government portal first, right? So that might be the first thing that has to happen before we even start talking seriously about you identifying a property. And then setting communication expectations, meaning texting, emailing, when are they best available, phone call, when I have something really important to tell you, how would you like me to deliver that to you? And so, and then setting contingencies. And contingencies are not just that they have a home sale contingency. What I mean by that, if you have somebody that's local, right, and they're going to move from one house to the next house, but they need the proceeds from the first house to go to the next house, that's a home sale contingency. But there's all other contingencies that are in our contract. There's the deposit contingencies, the inspection contingencies, appraisal contingencies. Those are all things that have to be met. Otherwise, buyer or seller is in breach of contract. And you would hate for that to happen all because you didn't tell them the timeline. Now, in our world, we have attorneys that do that. And we also are responsible fiduciarily to set that timeline. And then set up-to-date market expectations. Currently, right now, we are experiencing no inventory, which means that every buyer wants anything that looks good on the market. So, you know, in a couple of months, that might not be the case. But right now, every conversation with the seller is sell now. Like if you put your house on the market, you're going to get multiple offers in one weekend. For our buyers, it's if you like it, so do 15 other people. So let's write an offer fast and good. So setting those expectations of what's going on in the up-to-date market. And then seamless with your technology, putting them into your database and letting them know how you're going to communicate with them, what emails they might get from you, and what their responsibility might have to be in the technology aspect of this. And then as you close the transaction, you provide value, then you ask for help, and hopefully at the end of it, it's a reward because they are referring you people. At the end of the day, referrals is the ultimate proof that you've done right. When you receive referrals coming from people that you've serviced already, that is telling you that you've done a great job. If you're not, it's telling you something as well. Either you're not staying in touch or you didn't do such a great job. And maybe you need to survey back to the people to ask how you could have done a better job. And of course, we're always looking for the 5-star. If you're purchasing or selling, experiencing, exceeding your expectations, would you be so kind to give me a brief review? Right? Put that kind of language, because if they didn't have a good time, maybe they just won't give you a review because it's not what you were asking for. But be careful what you ask for. You say, hey, say how my service was. And they're like, oh, well, it was like a 3-star. But this one says if you're purchasing or selling exceeded your expectations. So this is a really great text, email that could go out to your sphere, or you could just ask them. And of course, seller reviews and buyer reviews are always, people are looking at that. When you go on Google, do you have a Google page? Google My Business. I think I've said that before. You guys should all set up a Google page for yourself so that people can give you easy referrals. I mean, easy reviews. And what do buyers most want from their agent? We've gone through this in a different session, but we have to keep this in mind. 50% of it is they just want to find a house. They don't care how many houses you've sold. They want you to negotiate on their behalf. That's it. So when you're explaining what do you do for buyers, I find them homes and I negotiate. The buyer's needs analysis is all the questions that we would ask to, you know, understand what they like, what they want, what are their non-negotiables. We've gone through this in a different session, but it's all built into your buyer consultation. Who will be living in this home? What are your non-negotiables? If you had to name your top 5, what would they be? Will you require accessibility options? So you go through these questions with your buyer, and it makes it a lot easier. Buyers' lives change or buyers' world changes. Their world changes when you find them the right property and they are happy with the service. And then tough conversations are fiduciary conversations. Sometimes you need to tell that buyer that they have to look in a different area, or the price point that they're looking in, they're going to have to stretch it because what they want, they're not willing to compromise, or they might need to look at a different island, or they might need to maybe not move right now. And those are the types of tough conversations that you would have. Showing homes based on the needs analysis, only show the best properties to your buyer. Now, in a market like today here, that's like any property that's on the market. But typically, if you have some to choose from, you're not going to just take them to any property that fits in the price point. Take them to the best properties. Have MLS with pricing information and key details, including disclosures, when you're showing the properties. Mark the properties on a map. Give them a map of all the properties and where they're at. Answer location questions. And be knowledgeable about the property. Maybe preview the property before you go and show the property. Include recent comparable sales, showing them what has sold so they can make an educated decision, and point out potential issues or concerns with each house. Now, you want to stay away from major things that you shouldn't be talking about, but if you notice something, like, sure, point it out. But the reality is every house is not going to be perfect. It's lived in. You know, there's going to be things that you need to fix. And then showing homes means agent interaction. It gives you an opportunity that you're going to be spending time with that buyer, and you're going to be able to ask them even more questions and gain more rapport. Here's a home tour toolkit that I would not have all of this stuff, but have most of the stuff in my trunk or in my truck, in my car. Is sanitizing wipes, paperwork like contracts, having a blank contract with you, a map of where you're going, first aid kit, God forbid somebody gets hurt in a vacant house, flashlight, a level. They want to know, oh, what's wrong? Let me bust out the level. Tape measure. They're wondering, will their couch fit? Will their bed fit? Those are key clues that they're interested in the property, guys. Office supplies, paper goods, toilet paper. God forbid somebody's got to go to the bathroom and there's no toilet paper in the house. You know, so you want to make sure you have that. And then, you know, your other stuff here, hand wipes, masks, shoe covers, business cards, umbrellas when it's raining, beverage, snacks, entertainment for kids. Sometimes you may print out some things for the kids to color. Maybe you have some lollipops, but think about when they meet with you, do you have everything that you might need? And safety first when showing homes, please make sure somebody knows where you are. Maybe you share your location with somebody at the office, stop in the office, let them know you're going to go show a property, and be careful because cameras are everywhere. So be careful with what you say outside those properties when you're at the front door, right? Or in the house, because you want to do the talking when you're away from the home if it's gonna benefit the buyer. And you don't sell homes, you show homes. So in your offices from now on, if somebody says, oh, I'm going to show homes, I want you to say, you're going to sell a home today. You're not going to show a home. Okay, so it's all in the mindset and the reasons why buyers hesitate. They're afraid to commit. They don't like some minor details of the home. You're gonna have to get them over those. they feel they haven't seen enough homes, or they need to sleep on it, get an opinion of a trusted advisor. So when this stuff happens, maybe they need to see more homes and they're going to lose a few. When it's a minor detail, you really need to isolate the objection and figure out how could you solve that for them. Okay. So they also are indicators that they are ready to buy something. If they're like, oh, I don't really like this over here. If it was like that, I would buy it. And guidelines to facilitate decision making. Always go back to their motivation, back to their needs and wants, their must-haves. Advise them as a consultant and a fiduciary. Always allay their fears. I'm sorry, I just got thrown off by Gershon's ear. Anybody else? You're killing me, bro. Solve their challenges and calculate the cost. No, we're not going there. And calculate the cost of waiting. And calculating the cost of waiting is big in our market right now. If our market is, if the 450 house is going to turn to 500, that in a few months, what are we waiting for? We're losing 50,000 in equity by just waiting. Oh, but I don't really love this house. I don't really... Yeah, but you have to move. So, you have to make the move. And so calculate that cost of waiting for them. Now with the success, so anybody on the buyers, anybody want to give any ahas there? I mean, we just talked about a whole bunch of stuff that Jacqueline's dealing with, but anybody else have something about buyers, the success with buyers? And in today's market, I feel like you need to spend more time with them. You just really need to spend more time educating them. In our market, we have a buy down product to get them into a lower interest rate. So there's some creative financing that you might have to get into and become knowledgeable about, get your mortgage partner to work with you. But let's go to success with sellers. So success with sellers, also, we have to remember, what do they want? They want you to price the home right. They want you to help market their home and get out of their home in a certain time frame. It says help the seller find ways to fix up the home and sell it for more. That's not as important as the rest of the stuff, right? But if you get in there early enough and you could tell them, if you do this, this, and that, you're going to definitely be able to protect your price, or that would get you an extra 30,000. That would be the reason why we meet with our buyer and sellers 3 and 5 years out sometimes before they're going to make the move. Because if that 1950s kitchen needs to be changed, who wants to change it and then leave a month later? Let's enjoy it for a year, right? Let's do it now, enjoy it, and have it done so that when you do sell, it's done. So in knowing that, it's price, time frame, conveyance. So how do we price it right? How do we get them out of here within the right time frame? And it's price and condition. That's what sellers can control. They can choose their price and they can fix or maintain their condition. Sensitive seller conversations provides a strong foundation for sustainable relationship. If you cannot tell your seller, hey, listen, you're going to definitely lose because that front porch is hideous and it's curb appeal. It's everything they see. Why don't we fix that up? It'd probably be $1,000 to fix that up. And that alone is going to give your house better curb appeal, which will show better in pictures. Because anytime we have a house that doesn't have a picture of the front of the house, we think there's something wrong with the house, right? So set and manage expectations proactively through the transaction, creates peace of mind for your clients and enhances your credibility. So that's what happens when we have great client communication with our sellers. And in our world, we have to remind them of fair housing, which is, no prejudice and everybody just completely equal across the board. Discontinue representation of the client if they do violate that. And so while you don't have that, you should still have a good practice of, treating everybody equally and ensuring that that's something that we thrive on, is that we are a company that has equity for all. As you could see, it was put into our belief system: win-win, no deal, integrity at the bottom. You'll see equity opportunities for all. and success through people, especially our buyers and sellers, and as leaders, especially through our agents. So when we're servicing our sellers, there is a 14-step marketing plan. It's built into your pre-listing presentation, your listing presentation found in Command. And it's listings, leads, and leverage. That's what it creates, right? So capitalize on your listings by marketing your brand. And this 14-step marketing plan, like I've said before, if you're not going to do all 14 steps, then take it out. Make it a 10-step, make it a 12-step. But make sure your step marketing plan is for all listings, any listings. And then if you have a special property that's $2 million, maybe you add the exclusive VIP service of the marketing plan. The message you put out to attract prospective buyers and sellers is everything. Why would they want to contact you in this market? What would they get if they did? And these two questions are at the heart of all effective messaging. Your MLS listing reflects your brand, right? Have the right documents uploaded to your systems. Professionals get the right pictures, get floor plans, and they set the right schedule for your listing. And the schedule for the listing is launching it on a day, then having an open house that weekend, or just having a 30-day marketing plan for that listing so that you're not bumping into some holiday weekends, or there's a parade happening that is gonna, all the stuff that you would know locally that might affect the schedule or the exposure of your listing. Import the listing. So it's going to syndicate out, proper signage. Make sure you have your sign out there. And really that's what it comes down to when working with buyers and sellers. And then your co-agents are the people that have the listings, or the agents that bring the buyers through your listings. And at the end of the day, I always want to call for feedback. I want to ask them, what their client thought of it, so that I can tell my seller what the clients thought of the property. It's not just me giving the feedback after I talked to all the agents that came through. This is what they had to say. Working with co-agents, the other thing that's beneficial here is that when you have a broker open, they will come if they like you. So, cooperating with the agents in your market is a huge part of our success here in the States. And I would think that it would work very well on the islands, even more so because of the lack of MLS or the lack of sharing of the data the way we do. And back to our daily success, and I just want to remind you guys that it is 10 conversations, 10 contacts added, 10 handwritten notes, 10-5-1 on your social every day. Every day, your lead generation every day. And then the goal is to have appointments to agreements to closings. And so this was a short one because we're just going through one. But let me have a few ahas before I'll let you out here early today. But let me have a few ahas about servicing your buyers and sellers. At least two. Something that you heard, that you were reminded of, that you're going to implement.
Hello.
Hi, Francisco.
Hi. Well, I have a question actually, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I recently had a lead, and I contacted this lead, and I was trying to get, like some parameters on what he was looking for. He said he wanted to have a lot, but that's as far as he would go. No measurements, no specific area, no price range. So
what does he want to do with that lot?
Yeah, buy it. He wouldn't say anything else. So I tried to explain to him, like when you give me some parameters, I can look for something that is more appropriate to you. But he just responded with a thumbs down. So
okay,
yeah,
so what I might do is I might pull some lots. I might send him some lots and ask him, do any of these any of these of interest? But I also would say, if you can't tell me what you really want, I don't know how much I can really help you. Kind of got my hands tied here. It'd be like you coming to me saying like, I want more listings. And I say, well, let's talk about that. You're like, nah, I just want more. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know how to
I
help you
just,
because
you know, I just got the idea that the impression, maybe I'm wrong, but I just got the impression that what he wanted, just he was just fishing, you know, like wanted me to give him all the information that I had, and then, you know, keep looking
well, here's what I would
somewhere else.
say is, what if you found out that somebody else was willing to give him all the information they had, and he goes and builds like a 20 unit complex, and you find that out just because you weren't willing to just at least play a little bit with this guy.
Okay,
I'd play with him a little bit, but I wouldn't let him waste my time because I have other clients that are telling me what they want, and I'm committed to helping people get to the goal.
right. Okay,
All right.
good.
So I'm just really
Thank you for
foggy
the
on what your
perspective.
goal is, Mr. Buyer. So, but I'm willing to help, and here's what I got. But what do you like?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. All right, guys. Well, this is recorded. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the YouTube, and then we're gonna be back here next week. And if you need me, please reach out to me. I am completely accessible. Jacqueline, I'd love to hear what happens. Hopefully you'll have some good news next week. She's coming out
Yes.
the 20th. Okay.
Mary,
All right.
Beth, I have one question. You
Yes, Ida.
mentioned right in the beginning, before you actually started, you mentioned the course. That
It's called
basically every
Value
agency-
Squared.
Okay, value squared. Okay.
Value Squared. Ricarda, if you could figure out how they're offering that to Curacao. I know, Suze, you took it. It was on Zoom.
Yes, it was. It's in Connect. In Connect, if you go there, it's there. But if I might have it still because I sent it to my agents, but it's in Connect.
Okay.
And it's offered again. It's offered a few times, so you haven't missed it yet. Yeah, I have to look when it's offered, but it's offered a few times, so you can definitely sign up for that one. And it's with Gary Keller and Jay
Mark
and
King with
yeah.
Jason
Yeah.
Abrams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we'll make sure that that gets posted out also in the family group as well on Facebook.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a great week. I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
welcome.
you.